Hi everyone, and thank you for joining us today. Today is the last day of our webinar series and saving the best till last as it goes. So this will be the last one that I'll be hosting as part of the webinar series, and I really appreciate everyone jumping on who's joining us today and who's joined us on previous sessions. It's lovely to know that you're spending the time to get to know what products we offer and what's available to you in Business Central. So I just have a few admin points to tick off before we begin. The session will be recorded and available on our website and our other platforms afterwards. And if you have any questions during the demo, if you can just pop them in the chat for us and we can go through a Q&A at the end if that's needed. So for those of you who haven't met yet, I'm Renee and I'm a Customer Success Manager here at Bamboom Cloud. And for anyone who's new here, our aim here at Bamboom Cloud is to help organizations take the very best of the Microsoft Cloud in order to help them to transform and grow. Today's session will be focused around D365 Business Central, as like the other sessions which we've hosted as part of this webinar. Part of my role is to help to educate you on and to understand what you already have access to within Business Central, along with how we can add extra components to it to benefit your organization through third-party apps. We often refer to these as ISV solutions. Today won't necessarily be a deep dive tech session, and we'll keep it in a language which enables you to understand what it can do for you and the benefits of it to your business. Today's session will showcase, educate you on, and help you to understand how Netronic can enhance your Business Central experience through visual scheduling. And I'm just going to pass over to Martin and Lawin now to tell you more about the product.
Okay, thanks, Renee, for the introduction. Could you give me the right to share my screen with you, please, and with the audience? Cool. So thanks for that. So hi, everybody. My name is Martin, and I will guide you through the next 30 to 45 minutes talking about visual scheduling. I will now switch off my camera. As you've seen me, I'm in Aachen in Germany, which is a beautiful old city in the middle of Germany. And we at Netronic, we are all about visual scheduling. So let's talk a little bit about what visual scheduling is and what it can do for you. So by now, you should be able to see my screen. And as Renee said, we talk about visual scheduling. And also, I think this is one of the last of these webinar series. So if you have more questions on these other products, then please reach out to Renee for further information. If you want to talk about Netronic, then you can reach out to Renee or you can reach out to me and Lawin, who is my colleague, and then we can discuss it with you and with the team of Bamboom Cloud. So today, I would like to spend a few words on the focus on visual advanced production scheduling for Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central, and I will come to what this is in a minute. First of all, my name is Martin. I'm the CEO and one of the owners of Netronic Software. We are a German ISV who, although we are small, acts internationally. So we partnered with Bamboom Cloud to help customers in the UK benefit from our visual scheduling extensions that we built for Microsoft Dynamics. I'm leading all our efforts in terms of Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central. And if you want to discuss anything about visual scheduling, Business Central manufacturing, then feel free to reach out directly or work with the colleagues from Bamboom Cloud, and because they know us and our products very, very well. So our company is all about visual scheduling, and we actually have 3 products that we sell to customers like you through our partners like Bamboom Cloud. They are all on AppSource. These are all extensions for Business Central. And we have 2 products for production scheduling and 1 for job scheduling. And then we have a 4th product actually that brings visual scheduling to Business Central. But this is a product that we sell to other partners who build applications and then can build either a bespoke visual scheduling solution, for example, for rental scheduling or for staff scheduling or for asset scheduling or whatever. So this is typically a tool that we sell to software developers, and these 3 are extensions that we provide to end customers. So the visual job scheduler, of which we will not talk today, is a product that is good for engineering to order companies and project service businesses who work with the Microsoft Dynamics jobs and resources and want to do some visual project and resource scheduling. So if this is something you're interested in, then reach out to Bamboo Cloud and we can schedule a demo afterwards for you. Then we have two products that integrate with Business Central Manufacturing. This is the Visual Advanced Production Scheduler, VAPS, and the Visual Production Scheduler, VPS. They both help with production scheduling. They both fully integrate with Business Central. And whereas the VPS is a pure manual drag and drop scheduler, and we typically sell it to customers who are, I would say, at the beginning of their digitization journey. The VAPS is the bigger brother to this product, and it brings more than a pure manual drag and drop scheduling, but it brings also some automated scheduling. So in my demo today, I will focus on the VAPS, so on the most advanced product that we have. So to give you an idea of the scope that our extensions have, and also the value they can provide. If you sense after the presentation that this is too complicated for you for a first step, then you should be aware of the fact that we have a leaner product, which is like, it is a bit like scheduling Tetris, where you can plan your production orders with drag and drop. So this is also available, but today, for the sake of time, I will focus on this Visual Advanced Production Scheduler. So the Visual Advanced Production Scheduler is the first finite capacity scheduling extension that fully integrates into Dynamics 365 Business Central. And this is like our short marketing phrase to introduce the product. And from time to time, I used this phrase in the past, and then both customers and employees and friends ask me, "Hey, Martin, you know, what does this exactly mean?" So what this means is, and I know that you might have experienced this by yourself, that you as a manufacturing company might struggle with keeping delivery times and with having a realistic schedule because you add just too many production orders and have too many day-to-day changes on the shop floor. And by juggling both the new production orders and the things that are running, it is sometimes hard to keep a realistic schedule and then to keep the delivery times. And what we want to give you is not only a manual Gantt chart or an automatic black box scheduling. To deal with this challenge, we aim with the Visual Advanced Production Scheduler at integrating both techniques and integrating this into Business Central. So we integrate the manual and visual scheduling component with some advanced scheduling automatism, and this is what we call Visual Advanced Production Scheduling. And the purpose of this is not to give you the best production schedule on earth, but we want to give you a realistic production schedule on the one hand, and a production schedule that you actually can control because you understand the schedule and you understand the underlying scheduling algorithms that we apply. So this is, like I would say, in simpler words, the explanation of what the VAPS is, as we have in, let's say, the marketing phrase. So if you use a technique like Visual Advanced Production Scheduling or a product like the VAPS, then you as a customer should expect to get answers from any software technology. So whatever software technology you buy, in the end, the software should give you answers to business questions and business issues that you have. And we feel that if you have a realistic production schedule that you control, it should give you answers to a couple of questions that we have seen almost every manufacturer has. And examples of these questions is like, okay, I got a new boss job, I got a rush job, I need to squeeze it in. What is the impact to the overall schedule? Will this cause other production orders run late? What is the degree of lateness I get? So how will it change my schedule if I just squeeze in this rush job? The other thing is, hey, my machine broke. I need to reschedule everything, and I need to make sure that my important jobs are still done in time. So how can I handle this? Where should I shift which production order? So we want to give an answer to this question as well. And the last thing is, especially if you're more like a job shop where you have a very low batch size, and when you're like a high mix, low volume producer, then you have you typically have a high variety in your products and in your processes. And if this is the case, then oftentimes bottlenecks keep on changing. So today your welding work cell might be your bottleneck, but tomorrow it can be the CNC, and the day after tomorrow, I don't know. It can be cutting or whatever. So if you have a high variety and high velocity in your product mix and in your production orders, then bottlenecks can vary. And how can I easily find what currently is my bottleneck and what currently limits my throughput? So also this is a question that we can give you with a realistic production schedule that you can control. And the VAPS is an extension to Business Central. So as the word says, it extends Business Central, which is a superb system, by some functionalities that does not come out of the box within Business Central. So first of all, it fully integrates into and with Business Central. So there are no data faces and no interfaces to outside servers. All the data, they stay within Business Central, and we don't take the data out of business. We don't take the production orders out of Business Central, send them to an external scheduling service, and then send them back. So as long as you have Business Central in the cloud, then this is like also from in terms of security standards. I think right now this is the most secure cloud that exists in the world. And if you run Business Central in the cloud and if you add the VAPS extension, then your data remains fully and all the time within this very secure cloud. However, it also not only stays within Business Central, but the product also knows Business Central. So it integrates with all the data that you get from the shop floor via the production journal. And it also integrates with MPS and MRP. So it knows the planning worksheet that is the tool for the master production schedule and material requirements planning within Business Central. We give you a visual schedule, including drag and drop scheduling, so you can do manual stuff that you see and that you control. We give you a capacity view, we give you a production order view, we give you a sales order view, and I will show this to you in a very minute. And then it gives you an automatic forward scheduling with finite capacity. So we treat every machine center, every work center with a finite capacity, and we always schedule as soon as possible. So we schedule automatically forward from today. We give you multiple scheduling tools to support different scheduling challenges. So we have different tools that should provide you an answer to different questions. You can work with alternative machine centers with productivity factors on setup time and the runtime. We have information about earliest material availability date, which is an information that typically is missing within Business Central. And you can create multiple production simulations, compare them, and publish the one that is best. And with this, I would like to switch gears and actually look at the product other than talking to it. And I'm now here within Business Central. If you have the VAPS installed, you can add them to the road center like I did, and then you see there are a couple of options that you have. But if you don't have it, if you have it installed, if you got it from AppSource, and if you don't have the VAPS in the road center, then you have to search for production simulations, because production simulations, this is the area where I am at right now. This is the area from where you work the VAPS. So you see I have 3 production simulations ongoing here, and a production simulation is a copy of your current production orders that you then can schedule. You can build multiple simulations all within Business Central. Then you can compare the simulations by some KPIs, and then you can publish the best simulation and update Business Central and update your production orders. So this whole simulation area follows a workflow. So first of all, you have to calculate what we call the EMAT, the earliest material availability date. So you have to calculate the earliest material availability date for all your production orders. Then you create a simulation, which means you copy your production orders into a separate table so that you can schedule and build on a new schedule without disturbing the current execution. You view the simulation, which means you do the scheduling. From time to time, you have to update it. For example, if you add new production orders, and then if you like, you can compare with some KPIs, and if you are happy with the simulation, you can publish it and then update Business Central. So let's run from here, at least to here, quickly in this demo. So the first thing to do is you have to calculate the material availability date for all the components that you need within your production order. So I do this now, and I don't explain this in all the details, but what we do is we look day by day for component demand and for component supply. And if there is enough component supply, then we allocate that supply to demand. And by that, we can calculate the earliest material availability date for every production order. So now that this is done, I create a simulation. And with creating a simulation, we mean copy those production orders that I want to schedule. So we can define a couple of filters. So I say my minimum status should be firm planned. So I only want to schedule firm planned and release production orders. And I define a relative time frame. So I want to look a week back from my work date and 2 months out. So my demo system here is a little bit old. So my work date in my demo system is the 28th of January 21. So if I'm looking a week back and 2 months out, I'm looking at the period from the 21st of January to the 28th of March. And I want to look at my data by what we call a view color type, by the availability view color type. So I want to, when I start my production schedule, see if I have production orders in my schedule where material is missing. And this is what this color scheme tells me. So if I do this, we copy all the production orders that meet these criteria into a new simulation, and then I can go and view this simulation so I can view my current schedule. And then I get a nice visual representation of my current production schedule, where I see a time scale on the top looking from the red line. This is the today line. So this is the 28th of January. I'm looking a week back and I'm looking 2 months into the future. I see my work center groups on the top. So I have like 3 work center groups here. I have machining, finishing, subcontracting. And then within the work center groups, I have my work center. So I have 2 subcontractors here. In finishing, I have an assembly and a quality control work center. And then I have my machine center, like here it's 2 quality control stations. A couple of assembly places, and in machining, I have like drilling, milling, turning, sawing, and welding work centers and the respective machine centers. Then you see this yellow area. This is what we call the standby resource. So the standby resource contains all those production orders that were not scheduled with the VAPS before. So we make a differentiation of what we scheduled with the VAPS and what not. And this means, in contrary, everything that you see on my drilling machines here is something that I scheduled before as the production scheduler of this sample company. So this shows my current resource schedule for drilling 1 and drilling 2, for milling 1, for milling 2, and so on. It shows me which production order I will work on at which day in which sequence on these machines. Those things that are on the standby resource, they are new to Business Central, and this is something I have to take care of. But first of all, I want to take care of this red one here, because remember, when I created my simulation, I said I want to see it in the availability view. So everything that is shown in green, these are production orders where I have sufficient material. This one here is actually in red. So this is currently scheduled on this saw to start on the 1st of February. And my software tells me, hey, this is red. You actually have an issue. There is no material here. So if I double click on this, then this is item 5004. So it is from this production order here. It is this item that we are going to produce, and via the VAPS extension, we have the information here. The earliest material availability date is the 4th of February. And currently this is scheduled to run on the 1st of February, so before the earliest material availability date. So this is shown in red. So how can I see that the earliest material availability date is the 4th of February? Well, when I start dragging and dropping it, you see this gray curtain. So left from the 4th of February, the screen now is grayed out a bit. Right from the 4th of February, it is light. So if I move it into an area when the material is available and when I drop it, you see this automatically gets green because now I scheduled it at a point of time when the material is available. And we can, with the VAPS settings, define if you want to take this earliest material availability as a hard restriction when we scheduling, so that your situation that you had, that you saw before cannot happen. So let's quickly go back to this production order. You saw the earliest material availability date of this thing is the 4th of February. So where did we get this date from? Well, you know, I did this calculation of the earliest material availability date. So let's have a look at the production order component lines. And if I look at the production order component lines, I see I need 2 components for this material, for this item, and the one component is available on the 29th of February and the other is earliest available on the 4th of February. So the latest date when a component is available determines the earliest material availability date for that production order, because it needs to be the 4th of February so that all components for this production order are available. So how did we, or why did we set the 4th of February as the EMAT date for that component? Well, let's have a look at that component actually. And you see everything is within Business Central and integrated into Business Central. I now go to the item card. I recognize that, okay, there is none of this is on stock. So I have the inventory is 0. I have no supply of this component that I need. I see I need 400 on a component line. I don't produce it. I haven't sold it, but I see I have 25,000 that I get from a purchase order. So here is a supply coming via a purchase order that I can use for this demand. So if we look at the expected supply at the purchase order, then we see that the expected receipt date for this purchase order is the 4th of February. And as I don't produce this item by my own, and as I do not have anything on stock, this is the earliest date when this component is available. And hence, when we did the EMAT calculation, we added that date here. And from the comparing those dates, we concluded that the earliest material availability date for this production order is the 4th of February. So now that I sorted this out, I may want to look at the production orders that I need to schedule. So let's look at this guy, and you know, I'm now interested in what kind of status this production order is. Is this a release production order? Is this the firm plan production order? How does it compare with the other production orders? So I can actually switch my color mode and say, okay, now I want to see it no longer by the availability coloring, but by production order status coloring. So I change the status color and I see, okay, it is blue. Blue means firm plan and the others are released. So now I have a couple of options that I can do. And the first one is obvious. I can drag and drop it. So I can move it here and see, okay, there is a gap on sawing. I can move it here. And then I can take this one and maybe say, okay, I don't want to touch the released one, but I want to squeeze it in this released one and this firm planned one. So I move it in here. But when I do this, because we schedule with finite capacity, all those things now got moved out, which you can see by this little gray dot here at the end. And now, because those production orders on the drilling one got pushed out, and because some of them has successors, on other machines, you see that I also got changes on my saw because I squeezed something in here. So this upstream change has some downstream impacts. And if we look carefully at the plan, then we see also things got changed here in assembly and in quality control. So drag and drop always only should be like the last action that you take to deal with exception. But typically, and let's look at this production order again, typically a production order has a routing. And by the way, I defined that this production order should have a certain color. So I specified, hey, I want to see it in red. So I will come to this in a minute. But first of all, production orders have a routing. So I know, okay, I use the sawing one, I use drilling one, I use assembly one, I use quality control one. So I can also tell the system. And by the way, let's change the color again, that we see the color by production orders, because we can give production orders a specific color, and then we can better follow what happens with this red production order. So now I can say, okay, now let's add this production order to the existing schedule, making use of the earliest available capacity on the machines that are specified on the routing. And let's see what, given my current production schedule, is a realistic delivery date or production finish date for this production order. So I can say on a right mouse click, I can say, hey, I want to apply the routing of this production order. And then when you do this, you see this is positioned at sawing one. We have to wait long time before my drilling one machine is ready. Then we have to wait again some time before we can go it to the assembly place number one, and then it takes some time before we have some free capacity in the quality control. And you see this red line by using the available capacity in the defined work centers, machine centers, we will miss the delivery, the delivery time for that. So let me undo this again because I don't like running late. And let's look at the production order again, and let's look at the routing again, because I said earlier on, one of the VAPS differences is that we can work with alternative machine centers and alternative work centers. So if you look at the routing, you see this is an additional column that we add with the VAPS installation. And you see for sawing, for the saw, I don't have any alternatives because I just have that one saw. But in drilling, there is an alternate routing set. And if I look at this, then it tells me, hey, actually both drilling machines are allowed. And in this case, they are really equal. So it takes the same time to set them up, and it takes the same time to produce something on these two machines. So we can define sets of allowed resources, and we could also define factors that say, okay, this would be faster to set up, but it runs longer here. In this case, I built them up in a way that they are the same. So it's really complementary resources, and the same in assembly and same in quality control. So now I not only know the default machines, but I also know the allowed alternative machines. And then I can go back to the schedule and say, okay, let's add this to the existing schedule again, but let's look within all allowed machines for the earliest available free capacity so that I get a realistic delivery time frame by using the available allowed capacity. So if I do this, and we call this apply the alternative routing, we look within all allowed alternatives for the earliest available resource to finish an operation. And then you see it finds the free spot on the saw. There is some free spot here on drilling 2, which is an allowed machine. And then when, as we are finished here way earlier than we were before here on drilling 1, we can use some idle capacity in the assembly department earlier, and we can use some idle capacity on the quality control earlier, so that now instead of finishing late after that due date here, we now finish really in time. And if you don't like to work on every production order like this and add single production orders to the schedule one after one, you see I have actually a lot of production orders here waiting. Then you also can say schedule, I want to add them all, and I want to look into within the allowed alternatives, what is the earliest available machine to get this production order done. When you do this, you get this progress information because we run a couple of iterations. You can define how many iterations you want to run, and now you see all those production orders have been added to the schedule, and now I have a realistic schedule for my production orders. Last but not least, some of my production orders have been created by MIP against a forecast. Some of the production orders were created by me manually because I heard about a demand, but also I have production orders that are created from a sales order. So now my customer calls me and wants to know when I will finish his items from his sales order. So complementary to this capacity view, we have something that we call the sales order view, and the sales order view shows me all my sales orders that have production orders, and I can drill down into a sales order and I see, okay, this sales order 1018 has has these items. So let's go to sales order 1018. Let me do a double click here. I have sold to the Canon Group those 4 items in those quantities. And I also know that they are required from the customer on the 3rd of March. They all have the same date. So I see they are required on the 3rd of March. And now I can go in here and see, okay, this item 5,000, of which I need 50, is scheduled here. So I can say, okay, we will be shipping it on the 2nd, so it should be available in time. We will ship this, or we can ship this a little bit earlier because current production finish date is the 1st of March. I can go here and say, okay, again, 1st of March as the production finish date. So, and here you see actually we will start early and finish just in time. So I could go from here on the right mouse click and say show in capacity view, and maybe see if I could accelerate this, which still finishes in time, by moving it forward and finding some gaps on drilling or pushing out other stuff. So this is just a first introduction into the Visual Advanced Production Scheduler. It shows you an overview of the capacities that this product has, but I hope that you could figure out what kind of additional functionalities and additional capabilities you get with Visual Advanced Production Scheduler as an extension to your awesome Dynamic 365 Business Central system. And with this, I want to finish the demo because it's just time to give you an overview, to give you a first impression, and just wanted to ask if you have a question, then I'm happy to answer it now. If you want to ask a question later, or if something comes to your mind later, then you can talk to Renee at Bamboom Cloud, and then she will either answer the question or she will get us involved, Lawin and myself, and then we can definitively help you out and hear your question. But if you have a question now, put it into the chat and then I will answer it. So is there any question right now, Renee?
I don't believe so. I think we're all good in terms of questions. I mean, we had the same situation on the last webinar, so I'll say it again. No questions usually means that you've explained it so well that no one has any. So,
no, so that's perfectly fine. And as I said, if there are questions afterwards, then just get in contact with your colleagues from Bamboom Cloud, or send me an email or send me a message on LinkedIn, and then we will definitively answer the question that you have. But if there is no question, then I would first of all thank Renee and team for inviting us to present to you guys and give an introduction to visual scheduling for Business Central. And I would like to thank you for taking the time to listen and watch my demo. Thank you.
It's been a pleasure, Martin. Thank you for presenting for us today. And again, just to reiterate, thank you to everyone for joining us. The session is recorded, as I previously mentioned, and it will be available on our website and other platforms if you did want to show a colleague, or if you wanted to catch up on anything and give yourself a recap of what we've gone over today. Everyone that's kind of attended and registered and interested in the webinar today will follow up with you for any feedback on the session. And if you've enjoyed today and think that it's something that you could really benefit from, then please feel free to get in touch with your customer success manager here at Bamboom Cloud, and we'll put you in touch with Martin and his team as well. Any new clients, we do have our contact details on our site and on screen now. So if you do need anything else from us, obviously just let us know. Yeah, that's everything from me. So thanks very much, everyone.